So I got this question from Kirk Nugent, friend of the channel, saying, I'm in the market for a camera and have been looking at your videos. Primarily, I need stabilization, but every time I'm about to pull the trigger, something new is around the corner. Now, this was on the community post that I shared about the A7C Mark II coming out on August 29th. Depending on when you're watching this, the camera may already be out, but this is not specific to waiting until this camera comes out. This is kind of something that works regardless of new cameras coming out, what's already out, or like right now, there are a ton of new cameras out and a lot of people are in decision fatigue. Now, here's how I knew exactly what camera would be ideal for me, regardless as to what other new cameras comes out, because it feels kind of crappy when you just buy a camera and then it turns around like 30 days, 60 days, even 90 days later when it's still practically brand new, a totally new camera comes out and you like, dag, I should have waited and got that one instead of this one that I have, and now you wasted your money, you're past your 30-day return period, and you know the rest of the story because you got to trade your stuff in and it may not be for as much as what you paid for the camera for an easy return. And like I said, that sucks. Here's what I do. You always have to have your list of non-negotiables. Your non-negotiables is a list of things that your camera must have. I talked about that in my best-selling book. Side note to the side note, some of you all have complaints. I just saw a recent review where a gentleman was saying that he wasn't able to get the resources. I apologize about that. The website shifted locations and we had some links break. Literally all the links broke. So it's not just for the book. It was like for a lot of stuff on the website. It's fixed now, so I apologize about it. Resources available. You need help, go to the support@dinagladney.com. Okay, now back to the video. But my list of non-negotiables are the things that my camera must have regardless of what else is coming out or what else is happening. Because I'm always going to need 4K. I'm always going to need reliable autofocus. I'm always going to need or want a headphone port. Is it at this point required? For me, it is, because I don't like to have surprises later in the video file. And this has saved me even as recent as like 2 weeks ago when I tested something right before I recorded, listening with headphones, and I noticed a whining and a pitch sound. That's why you've seen me kind of go back to the DJI mics instead of the Rode ones, not the Rode Pros that just came out, which, side note, was a very nice announcement. But, you know, I had to go back to the DJI mics because the Rode Wireless Go 2s had an issue. I wouldn't have known that until after I recorded all that content for a podcast. It's like 30 minutes. And then I'm finding out that something's wrong. I don't want to figure that out at that point. So you come up with your list of things that your camera must have for you, regardless as to what other new things are coming out. Now, things like the AI technology is stuff that we kind of couldn't foresee. And some of even the new features that I just went through, like a list of 10 things that are in the ZVE1 that I'm finding are not in the ZVE10 or any of the lower level APS-C cameras. But it's unfortunate that it's not there because you know those updates aren't coming. Hope it comes in like a ZVE10 Mark II, but who knows when that camera come out. It may be a next year kind of a thing. So there are new things that can be added that can be more efficient and make certain cameras more desirable than others. But when it comes to the list of non-negotiables, like most of us, we had our needs met with the ZVE10, honestly, minus the stabilization and minus the jello and 4K. But if you're doing like 90% tripod stuff, that got us through. And we use Catalyst Browse for that other 10%. But now we want to fix all these things. And like you, Kirk, you talked about, and probably others of you on the channel, you need stabilization, or maybe you want that 4K jello gone and you just want to have good looking 4K 10-bit footage. Not that you'll need it all the time, but the fact that you have access to it means a lot. So here's 3 things that I recommend looking for in a new camera outside of your list of non-negotiables that may be more helpful in kind of making the decision regardless as to what comes out, so you're not constantly waiting. Because if you remember back when the ZVE10 came out, I ordered that thing right away, and then people that were waiting to see what else came out didn't get a camera because they sold out. It was kind of the same way for other cameras as well, which is when the E1 came out, I knew I'm getting that camera right away because I know that this is right for me, plus all the other stuff because of the first thing. Does the new features in the camera increase my efficiency so much so that we can save time in what we're doing? You've seen a lot of videos come out on the channel, not just because something new is coming out or because it's fun to talk about cameras, but it doesn't require as much to do the videos. Some things are easily solved, or it's just little micro things I haven't even talked about and shared on the channel yet at the time I'm doing this video that are in the settings that literally I've not experienced in other cameras. So it's speeding things up that much more. which means the content gets to my editor faster. And that means we can produce out more videos faster. So things like the AI tracking and the camera following me around, even though it's sitting on a tripod, on a table or something, those are things that not only increase my efficiencies with what we're already doing, but it opens up the ceilings to new ideas and new things that we can create. And if it wasn't 1,000 degrees outside with 115 heat index this week, I would have other videos outside that would be able to use some of this stuff. But right now we're gonna have to wait till the weekend. So new content on the way. The second thing is still going to be price. I don't recommend choosing a camera solely based on price, but it will be a factor because everybody has a budget or range of what they want to spend, and then that limit of like, how far am I willing to go? And if the camera is quote unquote good enough, then being willing to go up there. I honestly, like 2,500 was the max that I could see for me personally and my needs spending on a camera, just because it's like, what else is there that I would need in that higher end range? So $2,200 was close to that with the ZV-E1. And if you watched the video I did on the A6700, then you heard me and share how I got it at a better deal. But for a camera that's $2,200, I have certain expectations. $2,500, I have certain expectations. The A7 IV for me personally did not meet those expectations, even though they added some new features and even though they were great. Price-wise, it still was fine, but not for me to get the efficiencies and the things that I would need. Did it meet all of my list of non-negotiables? Yes. But did it have everything that I would actually want in a camera? No. So it makes it easy to say yes or no to what camera. So price can be a factor, but don't let that be the limiting factor or the determining factor of what you're doing, because sometimes taking that higher step up of beyond a comfort level or comfort zone makes more sense. Now, the last thing is way more important than the price, and it's way more important than that feature and efficiency level, and that's increasing your creativity. I talked a little bit about that a second ago, but think about this. Most of the cameras that are coming out right now, you really won't have to upgrade for another 3, 4, 5 years unless you just want to. Batteries are great. Autofocus is extremely reliable. The new features are dope. So there's very, 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 very small things of what you would actually need or want. So when you're comparing the list of non-negotiables with the features and the new stuff that's coming out plus the price, it makes sense to pay attention to what are my ideas, goals, and visions that are going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road that this camera makes possible. And that's the thing, like when the FX30 came out, I about lost my mind because it literally met all those things that would make possible for my ideas. There's not anything that I would want to do that that camera could do, but it was one small slither of a reason why I still did not buy that camera. And it was because if I'm looking at the things that I would want that would probably come out in this next series and lines of cameras, is it going to be in that one? Probably not, because it's more cinema focused instead of creator focused. And I talked about this in the previous video where like Sony has divided up their line where you have hybrid style cameras, creator style cameras being the ZV focused cameras. Then you have the higher end up hybrid cameras like the A7S III and the A7R lineup. Then you have their cinema line. So across the board, it's like, what makes sense? Do you get an APS-C hybrid or a creator focused camera? Do you get a full frame hybrid or creator focused camera? Or do you just go cinema level and, you know, you're waxing everything else on the lineup? Well, for me, the creator-centric cameras made sense, so it wouldn't matter whatever hybrid-based cameras came out, like the A7C Mark II, even though they can be dope as hell, it still wouldn't matter because the weight-wise, when it comes to my efficiencies, I love carrying this camera everywhere. I just don't even care to... Y'all probably seen this sitting over in the corner, but this is my little day pack that I carry with me. I can throw the camera in there and it weighs nothing. It feels just like carrying the ZV-E10, which it just makes it so easy and fun to create, especially when I pop on a small or little lens. Even better. So it can't just be buying a camera solely based off hype or based on the features or based on the price, because at the end of the day, if you don't want to use it, it's not going to survive your ideas, or you quickly will run into that ceiling immediately after buying it. It kind of becomes a waste. So when you put all that stuff together, that's how you kind of find your ideal camera, instead of finding one that you buy solely based on excitement because of a video, solely based on the features, or because the price is where you want it. It's a culmination of all those things that really make it a sweet fit. That's why I really didn't care what anybody else said about the Sony ZV-E1, because I knew it personally met everything that I would want There are some things about it that are not great that I would love to have seen improved and that you would honestly expect for a $2,200 camera, but we have to look at all the things we're asking to be stuffed in a camera. It's not going to be cheap. And honestly, I think right now, either your camera has to come with the fan or you're going to have to get an external one. And I think that's just kind of where we're at, unless you want a bigger package. I don't want the bigger package. Sony, I'd rather you make an external fan like Fuji did to solve the problem. And then that's like, it's not great, but it's a solution. So that's what I think, like when it comes to finding the camera versus like, oh, I'm gonna wait to the next something. I'm gonna wait to the next something. You get a major money back and then some. And then if a new camera comes out and it better improves all those things that you already had, trade that camera in and keep moving on. You don't have to stay stuck at one brand or one camera, or just because you bought it. Like you can trade it in and be done with it after you've made your money back and then some for using it versus waiting for new cameras that are constantly around the camera. Now, it's as close as these cameras have been, the A6700 ZVE1 and now the A7C2 cameras coming out. Yeah, that makes sense. But sometimes it just doesn't make sense to wait and just get what you need and start creating, because nobody's there with you essentially when you're doing your business and you're making your money, making content. So get what you want. Hopefully this video brought some value to me. Let me know what questions that you all have. Sometimes I do take your suggestions and your questions and I turn those into content on the channel. So love to end all of my videos. Remember guys, to create, post, repeat. You can do this. You can literally let video change your life like it did for me. That guy's Louis Passion. I'll see you on the next video somewhere here on the interwebs. Peace.